Earlier we talked about the internal constraint, now converge. Is the extent to which the measure correlates positively with the alternative measure of the same construct. Now, for example, here you're looking service quality. So that do you think that one item is measuring the same thing? I have the correlate positively with the rest of the measures in the same scale or not. If they are have the similarity or means correlate with the rest of the item, that means the converge validity has been established. But how? Through the autoloading and the plus AVE. Okay, so now I'm talking about the AVE. So now AVE here, these are in the red color. These are the less than the 0.5. Okay, now here like so now the here our benchmark is a 0.5. So now these two are above 0.5 and these 5 are less than 0.1. So customer service is just below than the 0.5. Okay, so now that's why. Now what are these average? Now points, how we can measure this 0.4055 are like the customer 0.493. How to measure it? It's very easy. Just come here. So here you see that is in the customer. So these are 3 our indicators are there. So now if you 0.762 square it and then 0.757 square it and add it with this one, and then lastly 0.59 square it and add it. When you add all these 3 things and when you divide these by the 3, now then you will find this ABE. Then this is the service quality, like this one customer service has been found. So now this EV has been computed by taking the average of all these 3 constructs. Okay. Now one more thing is there. That at least minimum value of any construct should be 0.7, should be higher than 0.7. Why? Because the minimum is a 0.078. When you multiply R square 0.07, so now whatever it will produce a value of the 0.5, and this is a 0.5. Now these two CS1 and CS2, they are higher than 0.7, and this is somewhat lower than the 0.7. Okay, so now here I want to show you another table which we are looking right now, and that table is about the autoloading relevance testing. In this one, the first we are looking at the autoloading relevance. Either the autoloading are relevant or not. First thing, the autoloading, if it is less than 0.4, outright delete it. That means delete it because it is useless. So hopefully in this one there is no any like our indicator whose value is less than 0.4. All are there is more than 0.4. Okay, another guideline is here that the autoloading is less more than 0.4 but less than 0.7. Then in this one, analyze the impact of indicator on the deletion of the AV. Then you can take the impact. If we delete this item, do you think it has a positive impact, or by the deletion, by deleting this item, you think that our AV has been increased? If our AV has been increased, then you can delete this item. If the AV has not been increased, then you can keep it. Okay. And if the outloading is above the 0.7, there is no need to delete it in any case. So the sum of the item, they are indicators, their outloadings are more than 0.7, and those less than 0.7, then again we have to keep it. Now here AVs are, for example, if we work on this one customer service, their AV score 0.49 is slightly less than the 0.5. Let's try to delete one item. Do you think that then we will see either it has some impact or not? For example, customer service. Now here we have to check these customer service. Now which one has the least value? So now the least, because CS3 has the least value. Okay, so now we are deleting it. What's happened then? See, now delete, press it and press the button delete. Once you delete, that means that all the arguments will go back. Then again you have to recalculate it. Calculate consistent previous algorithm, and then just press start calculation. And now the customer service is with the 2 items. So now if you see it's AVE, discriminant validity. Now see, its ABE has been increased. Earlier, its ABE was negative, below your benchmark, but now it is up to the benchmark. So that means that when you delete this indicator number 3, it has increased your that means the ABE. So now, if this is the case, then you can delete it. But any indicator, if it's not going to increase ABE, it is used to delete it, keep it, retain it. Okay. So now, in this way, we have done this. Now, another thing is about the discriminant validity. So now, discriminant validity we can check with the help of the. This is the hyperlink for the discriminant validity. Click it, and then the three things are formula lecture, cross-loading, and the heterotrade, monotrade. These are three tools are there through which you can check out the discriminant validity. Now, what is discriminant validity? Discriminant validity is the extent to which a construct is truly distinct from the other construct by empirical standard. One definition, and another is about the establishing discriminant validity implies that a construct is unique and captures a phenomena not represented by the other construct in the model. So this is a discrimination. Now, furthermore, normally we talk about the discrimination. There should not be discrimination on any basis. Okay. So now the same way we are going to create check the discriminant. Either the one construct is different from the another construct or not. That is the basically the concept of the discriminant validity. So three tools are there: cross-loading, formula lecture, criterion, and HTMT. So now we're talking about the cross-loading. Click it. Now, in the cross-loading, an indicator's outer loading on the associated construct should be greater than all its loadings on the other constructs. This is called cross-loading. Okay. And another, the presence of the cross-loading that exceed the indicator's outer loading represent a discriminant validity problem. If it does not, then it creates the discriminant validity problem. How? Now, first of all, here you can also do, but I'm going to export into the Excel format. How to export that? Just very easy. Just click it, export. But you can do when you have the full version. If you are working on the student version, then this option is not available. Okay, Excel format. Okay, and then go on the open your Excel. Now we are in Excel format and just place here. Okay. Now on the hand in the G column, you see all are indicators, and in this column all are your constructs. So now B1 and B1 here. So select all these one and make them bold. By the bolding, that means that we are differentiating this one from the rest of others. Okay, now we are on the Excel. So now here in this column, you're seeing all are the indicators, and in this row, all are our constructs. There are total 7 constructs are there. So what we're doing is that we are going to choose the first BI. Okay, bold it just to differentiate these ones from the rest of the numbers, and then CS2. You know the CS. There are the 2 indicators. Earlier there were 3 indicators. Just in order to enhance our ABE, we deleted indicator number 3. So that's why now the 2 indicators are there. They just again bold them, and then frequent food quality and from where food quality, and then choose. There are 3 items are in the food quality and bold them, and then QPE, and the QPA from this side QP 4 items are QPE, and then RI restaurant image. Select all these 4 and then bold them. Okay, and then valence 3 items for the valence, bold them, and the service quality. Okay, this is our quality, and select them and bold them. Now we have done this one. Now what we can do, then check out this one, the values. Either the values of all are higher than in this column or not. If these are the higher than in this column only, it means that through the cross loading, our discriminant validity has been established. The same thing you can do here. Check out these 2 values. Either these are higher than the rest of the values which are in the I column. If this is so, that means the discriminant validity has been established. The rest of the thing you can do with all these one. Now we are going back to our a smart PLS interface. Now, again, we are on the smart PLS interface, and the second thing we are going to discuss is about the Fornell-Larker criterion. Okay, so now here most of values are there. Again, we are exporting into the Excel format. But first, what is Fornell-Larker criterion? It is the second and more conservative measure. The first measure was the cross-loading, and this is second measure, and it is a more conservative than the cross-loading. Another thing, it compares the square root of the ABE values with the written variable correlation. So now these are our ABEs, and inside this one, these are our correlations. Specifically, the square root of the each construct AB should be greater than its highest correlation value with any construct. How to understand? Let's come. So again, export this one in the Excel format and just reach on the Excel spreadsheet. Now we are on the Excel spreadsheet, and now I have what means that paste all these one. Now here, these items which I'm selecting to bold them, all these are our ABE, and the rest of these are our like the values for the correlation. So now correlation between the BI and CS, the correlation between the FQ and the BI, and the correlation between the SQ, BI, CS, SQ, FQ, like this one. So now how to understand? Now what we have to do that consider this one. You think this one is higher than this one, the rest of the column? If it is higher than the rest of the column, then whatever the values are in this column, if this value is higher, it means that our discriminability has been established through the Fornell-Larker criterion. And another thing is that like this one, CS, if this is the higher than in this column as well as higher than this one, that means if this is higher than this correlation value and these correlation values, it means the discriminability has been established. Okay, and then this AB, if AB is higher than these correlation values as well as if these are higher than this correlation values, then again the ABE has been established. So these are the tools. In this way, you can establish. Now we are going back to our smart PLS interface. So dear friends, in this way we measure the discriminability with the help of the Fornell-Larker criterion. Okay, and the last one is that's very easy. That's about the heterotrait and monotrait. Okay, heterotrait and monotrait. Now see, all are the green. That means there is no any violation of any one. All are the below the range. Now the range is 0.9. If the value of any HTMT is higher than 0.9, that means it is creating a problem. But all are the below well than the 0.9. That means there is no any issue of the like the discriminability through the HTMT. Alternatively, the graph is available, and then now 0.8. This is a 0.8 is our now. All are well below the 0.8. So all are the green. That means there is no violation. So now discriminability has also been detected that all the construct in this model are sufficiently different from each other. So now in this way our constructability has been established. So here I would like to end this video. Thank you very much for watching this video. And at the end, I request you please take care of yourself and also take care of this channel. How? By watching the videos, by liking it, by leaving your comment, by sharing with the other people. Thank you very much for watching this one. Very soon we will meet with another video.